Welcome back to Four Faces. Let me ask you a question. Why is it that Russia had their foot on India's neck? Why is that? Why do Russia is able to put their foot on top of India's neck? Yeah, you know, Russia is having a war right now. With Ukraine, you know, that country. Why is that? Well, it's very simple. I'm going to tell you why. Why is it that India loved Russia so much that they're willing to not say nothing against them with this war going on in Ukraine? Now, let's talk about that. So let's think about it. Well, if you look at it from a historical point of view, right, I can understand why. Because, you know, India says that Russia was always there for them, that they was their allies, always been there for them, even when the West let them down. And there is some truth to that. I'm not going to deny that, right? There is some truth to that the West kind of like let India hang and dry, which is go back to the 1970s and therefore, that when they made that relationship with Russia. But then there's this other thing, you know, when you're a country, like a big country, you know, that have over 1 billion people population, like India, you need some protection. And guess where they get most of their military protection from? Over 80% from? Russia. Yeah, Russia. So that explains why India chose not to say anything negative against Russia. And why they did not sit there and say, you know what? Russia invading, keep in mind, independent country, which is Ukraine. Ukraine been independent, by the way, since 1991, just for the records. Why they don't say nothing about that? They don't say not one single word about that, right? That's why. So now, look at this. Let's look at this from a Russia point of view. Do Russia think the same about India? No, they don't. They really don't. I'm going to tell you why. If Russia really felt that India was such a great friend, why would Russia be supplying two nations that India have quarrels with, have these border issues with, that literally went to war with? Pakistan and China. Why is that? Russia gives financial support to both. They do trades with both. They do military drills with both. Basically, Russia is sleeping with India's enemy. But yet India thinks, oh man, Russia, they love us. They love us. And the reason why I bring this up, because I was listening to some of India's military experts. And it was like, you know, Russia was fully prepared. You know, Russia willing to use the nuke. The West is lost. The West is giving lips. I mean, they were just going in. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that these other countries, Western countries, don't have their problems. I'm not saying that. But why side with a country when they doing you dirty at the same time? They shake your hand and they smack you at the same time. Think about it. China and India, they went to war. Yeah, at that border. They know, you know, if you're from India, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You've been in war with China multiple times. Yeah, absolutely you have, right? So, but keep in mind, Russia and China, they have what? They both communist parties. So, with that being said, if there was ever a war that came out and China and Pakistan, they both teamed up and say, you know what? We're gonna take care of India right now. Would Russia jump in? No, they will not jump in. Do you know why they won't jump in? Because guess what? That's my brother. You might be a friend, but that's my cousin. Remember, Russia helped China establish itself as a communist country since Mao. That was way back. That's like 1949. So they got a longer relationship. They got political ties. Their economics are the same. Their social status is the same. Like, they got more in common than they have with India, right? And if they didn't, if you say, well, that's not true, then Why give weapons to Pakistan? Why would you give weapons to them? Like, you know that India and them don't get along. Like, why would you give weapons to your enemy to their enemy if I'm so much of a friend of yours? You know what I'm saying? So there is no friendship there. Basically, India is sitting right there, and they basically surrounded by two enemies. Think about it. And Russia's supplying both. That's your friend? You consider that your friend? If you're my friend, that's like me going to the supermarket and I got two people that want to rob me, right? And they say, you know what? To make sure you're able to rob this guy, I'm gonna give both of you guys some guns. I'm gonna give you some money to buy some weapons, some guns, all right? But, right? Now you go to the store and you thinking, hold on, you my friend, right? Yeah, but how could you be my friend? You just gave these two guys weapons to rob me. Like, that's not what friends do. What friends do is they'll try to fight with me, not against me. But that's the situation. Think about it. So I say all this to say, before you think Russia is your friend, you better check that. You better put it in the right perspective. Because remember, Russia's playing both sides of the coin. They're giving India weapons. I'm not going to deny that. They're giving India weapons. Like I said, lots and lots of weapons, matter of fact. Like I said, over 80% of India's weapons come from Russia, right? That's a fact. That's not my opinion. Go check out the stats yourself. But keep in mind, they're also giving the opposition weapons too, right? Think about that. And another thing I would like to say is that, the last thing I would like to say is that one of the generals made a comment. One of the military generals from India, they made a comment. They said, oh, Russia was fully prepared. They was ready to go. You know, they was praising Russia. Like, oh, man, Putin is smart, blah, blah, blah. But think about it. If Russia was so prepared, then why was there tanks? Think about this. Why was military tanks sitting on the road because they ran out of gas? That do not sound like they're prepared to me. I'm just saying. The facts are the facts. Keep in mind, the next time you think Russia is your friends, you need to ask yourself this question. How could you be my friend and also support my enemy at the same time? Four faces. We'll talk.